has started. Brilliant. I also got a little message that says recording in progress.
Marvelous. Oh, I see. Our participants are arriving already. We're up to 13 now already. Hello, everybody. Do you want to tell me where you're all from so we can say hello? You can put something in the chat. Would anybody like to say where they're from and say hello? Hello, Patty. I can see you.
Joanna, we might need to change the chat option to allow for everyone.
Oh, it says everyone.
Okay.
Attendees can chat with everyone. There was a second setting. My apologies to everybody. So, hello, Karen. And Anya and Renata, hello from Canada. That's wonderful. And Oxford, Northumberland, Nottinghamshire. Wow. Sunny Oxford, Sylvia. It's not sunny in Scarborough, I'm sorry. And Becky from Northamptonshire. Hello, Lou in County Durham. Hello, Sue in Bridgend. And Netherlands, Lakshmi from the Netherlands. Hello, Lakshmi. And Dorset. Hello, Felicity. And Sarah in Malton. Hello, Sarah. Wow. And Anya, it's lovely and warm in London. It's warm here too, but it's not it's not sunny, unfortunately. But yeah, hello everybody. It's really wonderful. I'm absolutely overwhelmed by how many of you have registered for this, because normally my audiences, I have 4. I stick with 4, and it's very kind of intensive, and I can connect well with 4 people, and so this is a whole departure for me, and so yeah, I'm so delighted to be talking to so many of you today. It's wonderful. But those of you who don't know me, so my name's Joanna Taylor. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a clinical supervisor. I also tell stories, so I'm a bit of an author. And I work in Scarborough in North Yorkshire in the UK. And yeah, this is something that I love to do. I love to teach. And so, as I said, normally my groups are 4 people, so just 4 of you. And so today, yeah, we're up to 34 already. That's wonderful live. We had over 90 people register for this webinar. So I'm just so overwhelmed. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm also really, really grateful to my good friend Narissa, who is joining us from India. And Narissa is going to be in charge of the sort of the tech, if you like. She's already shown her expertise there by telling me to change the settings. Thought I already had. And so yeah, Narissa is going to be in charge of the chat and bring to my attention any questions or thoughts or anything that goes on there. Questions, there will be a time at the end for questions and answers. So if any of you have any questions, then there'll be a time at the end. And so we're going to be talking today mainly about the importance of, oh, hello, Colin. I'm just seeing a little message from you there from FMC. And going to be talking about presence and the importance of presence, and how it's important in us developing connection with one another and with ourselves. So I have a few slides. I don't normally work with slides. I normally work just talking, but yeah, with so many of you, it was easier for me to develop some beautiful slides. So I hope you enjoy these. So yeah, that's us, myself, Nerissa. And today, as I said, we want to talk about presence. And what is presence? Well, it's not just some exotic state, says Tara Brach, that we need to search for or manufacture. In the simplest terms, it's the felt sense of wakefulness, openness, and tenderness that arises when we are fully here and now with our experience. And Deepak Chopra says that it's being knowingly. So it's not something that we have to actively do at all. It's about being. It's about being present with ourselves, being present with somebody else. How do you know when somebody is being present with you? How do you know? And how do you know when somebody's really not being present with you? It's easy to tell. It's a felt sense, isn't it? And so we can get this sense of presence. We can get a sense of not presence. Have you ever been on the phone to somebody who's being not present, who's busy doing something else? And you can tell, can't you? There's that sense of that they're not really here. They're not listening. They're not being with me. And when you're with somebody, a partner or a friend, then what happens when they're not present either? Can you tell? Yes, you can. Often it'll be because, somebody's on their phone and they're sitting with you and you're having lunch and their phone's on the table and it rings and they pick it up and they talk to somebody or they pick it up to answer messages. And how does that feel? To me, it feels frustrating. I get a sense of aloneness when somebody else is busy being present with somebody else. So we can tell, we have this felt sense of whether or not somebody is present. And that's important. It's a fundamental human need that we feel a sense of connection with people. And what's happened to our presence? What's happened to it? Well, modern world says that we have to keep busy. We have to do more or have more in order to deserve more or in order to be happy or fulfilled. We just keep having to do and do and do. And as I said before, phones, technology, all distracts our attention. When we're busy with something and the phone rings and we have to go answer the phone, we're losing our connection with what it is, who it is that we're being present with. Increasing use of AI, that's a bit of a disaster as far as connection goes. How does it feel for you when you are on some application or other, let's say the banking thing, and you need some help with it? So you go on the chat, and used to be you would put a question in, And there would be this little, thing. And then, somebody, Sally would come up and she'd say, oh, you're chatting with Sally. How can I help? And it was a person, a human. But now it tends to be AI. And I don't know about you, but I really don't like that. And I feel very frustrated by it because there's no connection there. There's no human at the other end. Because as human beings, we need connection. It's a fundamental human. And that's why one thing that Colin just said in the chat, it's harder to tell if people are present on Zoom, especially if their camera's off. And that's very true, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to have the slides up all the time, because you can't see me. And this format is very different for me because I'm used to seeing people. And I can't see you, but I know you're there because you are there in the chat, and that's fine. So I feel your presence. So what do we do about this? Because it's terrible that we're losing our sense of presence. We have this need for connection. So many people trying to connect with so many people. And social media, how many friends do you have? How many connections do you have on LinkedIn? And we connect more and more and more in the hope that that helps us to feel more connected with people. But we're not. We get impressed because somebody or 16 people have liked this photograph. 16 people have flicked past it, but there's no connection there. So as a human species, I think we're evolving faster than, our technology is evolving faster than we are. So we're forgetting what it is that we need in order to feel fulfilled and connected with people. And that has to start with presence. So let me get back to my slides again. We have 3 keys to authentic presence as I see it. The first one is self-awareness. We need to be aware of what our thoughts are, where our thoughts come from, take responsibility for our own thoughts and for our actions, and self-acceptance. So accept who we really are, our authentic self, not who we believe that we ought to be, which is a different thing altogether. And we need to have this sense of connection with ourselves as well as other people. We can't have connection without presence, and we can't have presence without connection either. So these 3 operate together. So these 3 plus presence operate together because we need all of them. It's really important that we have all of them. And self-awareness is so important. Self-awareness is basically the soul and center of everything I do, of all the courses that I run, when I'm working with clients. Helping somebody to build their self-awareness is vital as far as I'm concerned. That's, as I said, it's the soul and center of everything I do. So what is self-awareness? Well, it's that awareness of the fact that we all think differently. So being aware of our own thoughts and how we build our own reality. Because reality isn't really real. It's about how we perceive it. because everybody perceives things in a different way. So, example, if you look at my room behind me, I'm sure everybody has been looking at it and thinking about it and noticing it, even if you're not really aware of it. But if you look at it now, then there will be things that you notice. And you will all notice things that are unique to you. Some things will stand out to you. You might think, oh, I've got a little salt lamp like that one in the corner. I see Joanna's got a salt lamp. Or, yeah, there's obviously a picture next to the salt lamp. I wonder what that is. Or, what's that on that top shelf just there? It's a nautilus shell, in case you're wondering. Wonder if those roses are real. They are. My husband bought them for me. And the books. How many books? And what are these little folders down here? I know those chairs look quite comfortable. So we all think of different things. And as we notice the chair, for example, that will have a different resonance for each of us because we have different opinions about them, different thoughts. And nothing in the world has meaning for us. So nothing is intrinsically stressful or wonderful or awe-inspiring until we find it so, until we notice it, process it, give meaning to it. And it's how we do that that's unique to us. So there is, back to the slides. So there is a little model about this. This comes from a gentleman called Tad James, who was a big guy in neurolinguistic programming back in the 90s. And he said that, we have this, something happens, an external event. So we've got a little flower coming out in the garden. And the flower coming out in the garden, that just happens. Until we notice it, it doesn't have any meaning in and of itself to the flower. But we notice it. We take the information in through our senses. So we see it. If it's something else, we might hear it. We might feel it, smell it, whatever. But we take that information in through our senses, and then we run it through our filters, the filters of our mind. And these are our values and beliefs, our experiences, our memories, how we're feeling on our needs, all of these things. It's like a stained glass window. So this white light of this event comes through the stained glass window of our filters and makes a pattern inside our mind, an internal representation of that external event. And as we get that internal representation or thought, then that influences how we feel. It influences our state. And our state influences our physiology, what happens in our body as a result of that external event, as a result of that thought. And so our internal representation, our state, our physiology are all entwined in the mind-body connection. That's what this is. And then that results in a behavior. And we all do that completely differently. So what one person sees as a really stressful event, somebody else might see as a really exciting event. Bungee jumping, for example. Well, I would be massively stressed by that, but somebody else might find it hugely exciting. And somebody else might be, meh, whatever. So it's all different for each of us. And when you think about how you are in the world, when you think about how your world has been up to now, do you think about yourself as a victim of circumstances? Or are you more a master of destiny? What would you say? Stick your answer in the chat. Are you victim or are you master? Just generally speaking, in the way your world runs. Master, says Renata. Yeah. Master, says Florencia. Laura, master, master. Ah, Natalie says used to be victim, but definitely master. Bit of both. Yeah. A passenger, says Graham. Yeah. Interestingly. Victor, says barbecue. And flowing with the universe, says Anya. Yeah. And so, yeah, a bit of both. But generally speaking, I would be surprised by the majority of people not saying that they're fairly much a master of their own destiny on this course, because you would be attracted to it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. But we can all be a bit of a victim from time to time. So if you think about how we, to my slide, cause and effect is a fairly universal equation. But which side of the equation would you say has the most choice? We are at effect when we're being the victim, everything else, or everyone else for something. And, you know, as I say, we all kind of hang out here from time to time. That's okay. We all like to hang out at Wawa from time to time. But how powerful do you feel when you're at effect, when you're in victim? We've given away our power when we're in victim. We've given away our power to whatever it is that we're blaming. So we're pretty much powerless. We're stuck, making excuses, sitting in our pity party. And we need to move over to the cause side of cause and effect, to take responsibility. And in order to do that, we need to have self-awareness. We need to become aware of the fact that we're sitting at effect. And until we become aware of it, then we really are stuck. So author Susan David says that awareness is a prerequisite for change, because we can't change something until we know that something needs changing and we know what it is. But as soon as we do that, then we start developing this self-awareness and, oh, well, actually, I do have a choice. I can take responsibility. And responsibility isn't, so we're not blaming ourselves for something. We're just taking responsibility for the bits that we can take responsibility for. But when we start to take responsibility, then we can take action. We get our power back. And there was a lovely lady called Virginia Satir. She was a family therapist in the 1970s. And she said that the world isn't the way it's meant to be. It is the way it is. But it's how we cope with it that makes the difference. So how do we, who are we being when we be? If we think about this aspect of cause and effect, then we can think about the fact that we have three selves. Here we go. Which one are you being? We have our actual self. We have our ideal self. And we have our ought self. Well, our actual self is just who we really are. And our ideal self is the self that we really, really want to be. But we're not yet. If there's a big gap between our actual self and our ideal self, if we can see a big bit of space there, then we'll feel sadness. Our ought self, that's the self that we think, that other people think that we ought to be. And if there's a big gap between our actual self and our ought self, then we will feel guilty. So what do we do? Well, we need learning for us. Bring it into consciousness. As Carl Jung said, we need to bring this stuff into consciousness. Otherwise, it carries on running our lives, and we call it fate. And so here's a lovely quote from Brené Brown. She says that owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. So all we can be is our best in that moment. That's all we can ever be, is be our best. We can't be perfect. There's no point in even trying. Because if we try to be perfect, then we have so many defense mechanisms running in order to prove that we're perfect to everybody else. That's massively stressful. And what if we're just doing our best with whatever resources we've got available at the time? And we've all done that thing where something's gone hideously wrong, and then later on we've thought, if only I knew back there then what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. No, we wouldn't. But then we wouldn't have learned what we need to do next time if that hadn't happened either. Because we didn't have that learning back there then. But we do now. So I'm just noticing a little quote a little bit in the chat from Colin. No one can make you feel inferior unless you give your consent, Eleanor Roosevelt. Yes, absolutely. Because nobody can make us feel anything. Only we do that. Nobody can make us offended. Only we do that. People push our buttons because our buttons are there in the first case. There are buttons. So that's why we get triggered. We get triggered because we have the triggers, not because somebody else intends to upset us. So how do we be? What would you think? Well, we're doing too much. Too much. At the moment, we forget that we're human beings and we behave like human doings. So busy, busy, busy. Life is speeding up. As I said at the beginning, we are not in line with our evolution. So ever since the what's it called? The revolution. I've forgotten the word. But anyway, where we have a sense of needing to be places at a particular time, we need to manufacture things, we need to be somewhere, we need to do something. I still can't remember that. It'll come to me. Industrial Revolution. There it is. And ever since then, we've speeded up. There's a lovely book by Johann Hari called Lost Connections, and he talks a lot about this. And so we're busy, and we keep busy because we don't want to slow down. Because if we slow down, that means that we've got to come into connection with self again. We've got to talk to ourselves or listen to ourselves, and that feels very uncomfortable. So we'll do a bit more distraction, thank you very much. We'll do a bit more busy. But instead, what if we do slow down? What if we play with being instead? Because if we want well-being, which we all do, we're all looking for it. Well-being is created through a sense of being, through a sense of connection with self. So we need to spend some time with ourselves. We need to spend time in meditation, some sort of reflective practice, journaling, walking, being in nature. But if we're going to be walking in nature without the earphones in, just being. And that gives us the opportunity to reconnect with self. Because what can happen when we listen? How have we learned not to listen? Well, we learn to listen in order to just respond. Because we're just waiting for somebody to stop talking so that we can say what we want to say. Or we just listen so that we can validate what the other person's saying, or so that we can negate what the other person's saying. And we forget to listen to ourselves and what our body is saying that we should do. And we keep going when our body says, actually, I really need a rest. And we keep going because, we need to keep busy. Because otherwise my boss will make me into trouble. It'll be, horrendous. I need to keep busy. I need to do this. I just need to do that. And then I can rest. But then when I rest, it's, oh, well, I need to be doing something. I can't just sit. I have to be doing something. So what happens when we just listen? What happens when you're with somebody else and you just listen? Without judgment, without effort, just compassionate, empathetic listening. Not trying to fix things, not just waiting for them to shut up so you can offer solutions. Oh, well, if I was you, I would do this. No, just being. What in therapy we called holding the space. And it's wonderful when people just listen. What can happen when you listen to yourself with that compassion and empathy and without moralistic judgment? What then? So let's do a little exercise. Just find something to look at that's in front of you. Actually, I'll just share the screen again because there is a rather nice picture that if you haven't got anything to look at, then you can look at this bumblebee in my garden. So just find something to look at. Could be either the bumblebee in the garden or a pen, cup, glass of water, whatever, just find something to look at. Something to focus on. And then when you've focused on that for a little moment, then just go ahead and close your eyes. And take your attention inside your body. Just do a little internal audit, running right down your body, from the top of your head, all the way down to the tips of your toes. Just notice what's going on. What does your neck feel like? Your shoulders, arms, hips, feet? Are there any tensions anywhere? Any stiffness or discomfort? Just notice whatever there is to notice, without judgment, without trying to change anything. Everything just is as it is in this moment. Notice your feet, the weight, the feel of them. Notice your body's temperature. Notice what else you can feel. Your hands, where they're resting. The chair beneath you. We can never be separate from our environment. Notice the air moving in and out of your lungs as you breathe. The change in temperature of the air as you inhale and exhale. Notice how you notice gravity. Where do you feel it? In your feet? Your hips as you sit in the chair? Your arms and hands as they rest where they are? And as I'm speaking, notice your thoughts. You don't need to follow them, just observe them without judgment. Notice that they just arise and then go, like clouds across the sky. Notice yourself noticing them. And now notice what you can hear. What is there? As well as the sound of my voice. Sounds from outside. Sounds from inside. These sounds show that you're not alone. You're connected to everything that is. How do you feel that now? Feel the connection of everyone else who's listening. Just notice how you feel that. And then Open your eyes and look again at that object in front of you. Really notice it. The colour and shape and texture of it. How much more are you noticing than you did before? And this is presence. Being here now. Being knowingly, says Deepak. And what does it mean when we are present? Well, when we're present, we have more compassion. Because we have more compassion for self, which means we have more compassion for others. When we deal with our stuff, technical term, we have much less judgment of other people because we understand that we're all human, which means that we have much less conflict. We have much more peace because we understand that somebody else is going through things that we've gone through. And when we accept ourselves as we are, it takes away this rigidity of having to be perfect, which I mentioned before, which means much less stress, because stress comes from rigidity of thought. And when we connect with ourselves and give ourselves permission to feel what it is that we're feeling, that means that we can express our feelings and needs, and we can improve our communication with ourselves and with other people. And it's that improving connection with ourselves and with others that's really important. But in order to be fully present, we need to put our own oxygen masks on first. Remember last time you were on the aeroplane and the cabin crew came up and did that little demonstration at the beginning. And we can't help other people unless we put our own oxygen mask on first. We need to sort ourselves out. When we sort ourselves out, then we can be fully present. We can be our authentic self. Neil Gaiman has this lovely quote. He says, "The one thing that you have that nobody else has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can." How much of that are we doing right now? How much are we living properly? Or are we too busy doing, and forgetting who we actually are? Forgetting who we can be? When you think back to those three selves, who's your ideal self? How connected do you feel to your ideal self? And some of us may be, it's pretty good. We're doing well, we're developing, we're growing, we're learning. And some of us may feel a really long way away from their ideal self. As I said, if we feel a long way away, then that's sadness. But some of us may be being who we think that other people think that we ought to be. And we feel guilty. We feel guilty for not doing the housework. We feel guilty for not finishing this piece of work before we went home. We feel guilty if we take more than 30 minutes for our lunch break. And whose voice is it? If we really think about it, whose voice is it in our heads that says we need to do this? Might not actually be ours. It might be somebody else's. And this is our ought self. And we need to bring this into consciousness so that we can ditch the oughts and actually be who we are supposed to be. Living our own Dharma, as Narissa once told me. So, do you want to learn more about how we be? Would it be interesting for you to do a deep dive into self-awareness, self-compassion? If you do, you might be interested to know that I'm starting a course in May. This is called Compassionate Connections. And share screen. There we go. It's a 6-week course, so it gives us plenty of time to dive deep into it. And it enables us to have lots of time for self-reflection, for personal discovery, but there'll also be a live session every week, which will be recorded like this will be, so that you can view it if you miss it, or view it back again if you want to. So other teachings, other coachings for that. So 6 weeks, and over that time, we'll have some core concepts to help you awaken and evoke your own resources. This is all about us finding our own resources, all about us moving to the cause side of the cause and effect equation. And we can connect and align with our true authentic presence and find your voice. Find the voice that is able to express what it is that you're feeling and needing. And realize that you're entitled to have your own needs. Humans have needs. And yeah, how do we express them? How much clarity can you gain through developing your self-awareness? And the secrets of mindful communication and how it can transform your relationships with yourself as well as with other people. And this program, Narissa is going to put a little link in the chat to the registration page for people who are interested in it. And what have we got? What's included? Well, it's a 6-week reflective course. So 6 modules with lessons, meditations, resources. So they're all designed to help you, as I said, take that deep dive into your own self-reflection and cultivate your own self-awareness as you journey through the course. You don't have to do it, in the 6 weeks. You've got 6 months access to this. You can take your time over it, or you can dive in as and when you want to. So, but we've got these live teaching sessions, 1 a week, every Wednesday, and they will enable you to work on what we're working on that week for the module, and just help you. So if you're stuck with anything, we can deal with that. There's also a community within the Compassionate Connections course, so you can chat with one another. So and me. There are guided meditations and stories that you have access to through the course, and there's a big workbook. It's here in front of me, and that has a lot of extra resources and exercises in it so that you can have a really good play. And these are not things that you might deal with once and then put one side. They are resources that you can come back to again and again. And then after the sessions, after the program's finished, then we'll have a bonus follow-up session about 8 weeks after the end of the course. And then you'll be able to see how we've developed, how people others on the program are changing and creating new lives for themselves, and how they've discovered all of this wonderful stuff through developing their self-awareness. And there's also a certificate at the end of it if you need a certificate for continuing professional development, so CPD in the UK, then you will have 18 hours of CPD included in the program. So, and if you're a dentist, then you might like to know that the CPD covers the GDC outcomes A, B, and D. So I will provide a specific certificate for dentists to say that. So yeah, that's an extra you can have. And out of gratitude for you coming on this course today, you also get a special offer bonus. So 15% discount with that code off the price of the course. And the first 20 people to register also receive a gifted 1-hour session with me. So make a note of that code. So secret 1104, which is the date today. So secret 1104. And you can use that if you wish to book for the course. But getting back to our little webinar here, I'm really interested in what are your thoughts that what we've been talking about today. Have you got any questions that you'd like to ask, either about the course or about the webinar and the contents of the webinar? So what do you think? Any questions?
Joanna, we had one question earlier, if this would be recorded, and I've just put that on chat.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. Anything else? See Lynn says the more connected you are, the less controllable you are. And what else have we got? Thought I saw there was something about wanting the
slides.
Somebody
Yeah.
wanted a copy of the slides. I can certainly supply those if you would like them. Not a problem. Yeah. Ah. Jean Elvire says, we are all here with you and your invitation to be present is poignant. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So, yes, what other questions do you have for us today? Oh, love the 3 selves and consequences of the gaps. Yes. Yeah. It's a very potent realization that the ought self is coming from outside us. It's not coming from inside. Our actual self and our ideal self are from inside us. So internal locus of awareness. So yeah, and external for the ought self, because that's just somebody else telling us what we think that they think that we should do. Yeah. And presence fuels intuition. Yes, Natalie, I think it does, because we have to be present with ourselves in order to hear our intuition. If we don't, we'd just get railroaded into whatever it is that we're doing. Then intuition flies under the radar completely. Connections to yourself help calm you and slow us down. Yes, because we start to pay attention to what it is that we are feeling and what we need to do. And usually what we need to do is slow down. Yeah. And yes, so there is a lot of benefit in revisiting being present, even when we do already know. And yeah, we do already know this at some level. And we do know when we're being too busy. And as a supervisor, it's something that I have to point out to my supervisees a lot, because they're too busy being busy with seeing their clients. And again, it'll be their ought self that's saying, oh, I need to see this many because these people need me and all the rest of it. And they're exhausted. And of course, if we do too much, if we don't pay attention, then that leads us into burnout, compassion fatigue. So being present, starting to pay attention to ourselves is really important. And yes, there was a question about if you think AI will change our brains, says Renata from Carol Whittaker. And I think it will. It can't not, because we'll get used to things. We'll get used to the way of doing things, and we become de-skilled when we're not having to do things ourselves. Yeah. And is there only victim or master in the model? There's only cause and effect, Graham, in that model. So we're either at cause fully and taking responsibility for things, or we're at effect where we're blaming everything else. And we need self-awareness in order to move from effect to cause. And Happy says, I have another dimension in that I walk closely with my Lord Jesus Christ and spend time quietly in his presence each day. Absolutely, Happy, because prayer and meditation, self-hypnosis, they all take us to the same place. They all take us to this sense of connection with something larger than ourselves, because there is a wisdom greater than us in the world. As human beings, you know, we feel that, and it's that connection, whether our belief and faith is in God, or whether it's in the universe, or even whether it's in science, or Buddha, or any of these different aspects, then we need to feel that sense of connection. So, any other thoughts or questions?
We also have another question from Graham. Is there only victim or master in the model?
Oh yes, I think I just talked about that. Is there only victim or master? Yes, there's cause and effect. The victim is effect, and master is cause. So I hope I answered that one. What time will the live sessions be at, says Karen. Live sessions are at 2 o'clock. I think we've made it 2 again. Because the 2 o'clock, yes, it's 2 o'clock. So that seemed to suit the majority of different times from around the world. So 2 o'clock, as it was today, seems to work best for everybody. However, as I said, they are recorded so that you will be able to watch them again if you can't be there live. And they will be on Zoom meetings, so not Zoom webinar. So you'll be able to see one another too. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Colin. And that's my hypnotherapy training. Or maybe I trained as a hypnotherapist because I like calm. So perhaps. Start date is the 1st of May. So the first session, the first live session is on the 1st of May. And anybody who books on the course will have access to it. It'll be about a week beforehand, you'll get access to the actual platform, and you'll be able to see all of the course content and things. And then our first live session will be 1st of May. Yeah. Interested in my take on the meeting versus webinar format. Yes, Graham, it has been a challenge because, as I said at the beginning, this is unlike what I normally do. I can't see any of you, and I might not be able to see you though, but I can feel you. I can feel your presence, and having the chat really makes a difference. So I think my preference is still to be able to see people, but I was totally unsure of how many people we were going to get on this. It could have been, 40 or 400. I had zero idea. So we had to do it as a webinar because I didn't want pages and pages and pages of tiles of people, because that would have been kind of too much for me and too much for everybody, I think. So it's easier to do it as a webinar. But yeah, it's been a challenge. The whole thing is a challenge because it's getting me completely out of my comfort zone. And I've never done anything like this before. I've never done a course like this before. I've always done courses that are, say, just for 4 people, maximum of 4 people, in fact. And so this was because I was told by a wise lady that I needed to be heard out in the world a bit more. I needed to have a bigger audience. And my first reaction to that was, oh no, I'm very happy with this is my niche. It's my niche to do tiny courses. And then I reflected on it, as I'm encouraging you to do. And I thought, is this just an excuse? Am I using this idea of a niche as an excuse because this is outside my comfort zone to talk to so many people? And honesty compelled me to admit that that was exactly what I was doing. So I've pushed my comfort zone. I've met with all of you in this virtual room and invited you into my home because I don't want to do the blurred out background because that's not authentic. You're seeing me as you would see me, as I'm here. And that's not outside my comfort zone. And this course that I've created, taken a lot of work. There's a lot of work gone into it. I really, really hope that those of you who choose to do it will take a heck of a lot from it, because I've put a heck of a lot into it. But designing that is not outside my comfort zone. So really, it was just the webinar. That's the only thing that was outside my comfort zone when I really got down to thinking about it. And how terrifying has this been? Not at all. It's just been like talking to my friends. It's been like talking to my audience of 4, except that we've got 32, which is wonderful. And so, yeah. Any tips for the journaling format for the Connections course? Well, Graham, your journal is your journal. And if you're joining us for this course, and I sincerely hope you are, then there will be some ideas and thoughts in there about how we do that. But basically, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you how you should journal, in the same way that I never tell people how they should do their meditation, because meditation is very personal. as Heppy said, sometimes it's prayer. So there's no one right way to do anything. There's your way to do things. And nobody else need to tell you how that is. So yes, Heppy, how many people are here today? Right now, this minute, there are 32 of us, which is wonderful. And thank you, Vidya. Yes, thank you for being so authentic, says Vidya. And thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone, says Gilly. Yes. Oh, thank you, Margaret, for letting us see your beautiful home and garden and wall. Yes, that's my front gate. I'm very glad that nobody walked through it as we're here, because I have 4 little dogs. And they might have made a noise if anybody had walked through it. But it is what it is. And whoever's here today, and whoever's here watching this after the fact, you are as you are. Whoever's here is whoever's meant to be here. Oh, Graham, my ought self apologizes for the question on journaling. Why would your ought self want to do that? It was a genuine query, so it's fine. Thank you for asking the question, because it allowed me to explain the answer. And Nerissa's put up the link for the course again, if any of you are interested in joining us on that. And I really hope that some of you want to do that. Not just because of all the work I've put into it, but because, as I said, the soul and center of everything I do is about helping other people to learn about self-awareness. Because I think that the more people who learn about self-awareness and the more people who learn about self-connection will then go out into the world and connect with other people in a completely different way, which will enable those people to then connect with other people. So there is a poem on I keep it on my wall here, and it's by Marianne Williamson, and it's called Our Deepest Fear. So I'd just like to finish off with this. She says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of the universe. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel unsure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. That's why I do what I do. So thank you. Thank you very much for being with me today, for enabling me to learn, for helping me stretch my comfort zones. And I hope to hear from you soon. I hope to see some of you soon on the course. There will be some more emails that come out to you to invite you to join us for the course. But remember that there is that little voucher, that little coupon code. Do you want me to put that back up again? Just share that again briefly so that you can, if you didn't get that code, then there it is, because that gives you 15% discount. And so, yeah, there you go. And yeah, thank you very, very much indeed. Anything else that you would like, you can drop me an email and I will send you. Who was it who asked for the slides? Can you ask them again? Okay. Kim, I will sort the slides out for you. Okay. Take care of yourselves. Oh, and Hannah says I'd like the slides as well. I'll just send the slides to all of you. And then you've all got them. So, yeah, no problem, Carol. Everybody's going to get them. It's absolutely fine. Take care then, everybody, and I will see you soon, I hope. Yeah. Take care. Bye. Bye, everybody.